First off, I thought Dak was excellent.
Yes.
Pretty much the entire game.
If Philly does win the NFC East and Dallas is a wild card team, I think we all like Dallas's odds of going.
The Eagles defense is gettable. The Eagles defense is torchable.
Based off all of the coverage I saw on the Cowboys-Eagles game, you would have thought that the Cowboys blew out the Eagles and are the much better team. However, this is just simply not true. I saw so many people from ESPN to Fox Sports to smaller blogs and stuff like that talking about Dak Prescott, how good he was, CeeDee Lamb, how good he was, and how the Cowboys played better than the Eagles and lost, how they're the better team, how if they played again the Cowboys would win, and all that. And I just would like to say this is just simply not true. It's not true at all. The Eagles beat them, and throughout the game, they looked like the better team. Yes, I know the Cowboys did kind of go up and down the field a bit in the fourth quarter. However, all they had to show for it was 6 points. You're giving them a lot of credit for those 6 points when it's not actually that impressive. No one's talking about the third quarter where the Eagles scored 14 points. And that was also in a crucial part of the game where they came out of the half down. They quickly took the lead. Then they stopped Dallas, and then they furthered the lead to make it a 2-score lead. So in the rest of today's video, I'm going to go into in-depth detail on how the Eagles actually outperformed the Cowboys in this game, and go into some more specifics for the fourth quarter specifically. So first off, if you just want to talk about stats, the Eagles had several stats that were just much better than the Cowboys. If you go by passer rating, Jalen Hurts had 130, Dak Prescott had 115. Jalen Hurts got sacked 3 times for 24 yards, and Dak Prescott got sacked 5 times for 41 yards. And to make it even worse, Dak Prescott got hit 10 times. So that's a crazy amount of hits for a single game. This shows that the Dallas line was just not performing well at all. Or, on the other side, the Eagles line was performing great. Jalen Hurts, on the other hand, only got hit 4 times. I will admit that CeeDee Lamb had a great game because he had almost 200 yards. Of course, you have to say he had a great game. But the rest of the offense was far less impressive. Yes, Dak Prescott did have a really good numbers game. He had almost 400 yards. He had 3 touchdowns. He looked good for most of it, but he made several crucial mistakes that cost them the game, such as stepping out of bounds on the 2-point play or getting 4 chances within the Eagles' 25-yard line, some of them within the 10-yard line at the end of the fourth quarter where you need a touchdown to win it, and he just couldn't make it happen. Yes, I do know when he got sacked at the end of the game, he'd had almost no time, but he could have saw it coming. Maybe he could have added some coverage there, such as a tight end to chip it. He could have, thrown the ball away because he has to know you can't get sacked, and he got sacked. So, while not completely his fault that the lineman got obliterated, I do put some of the blame on him, and I can't give you an A+ game when you can't finish when the opportunity is there. Jalen Hurts, on the other hand, was able to capitalize when he got a chance in the red zone. They were 3 for 3. The Eagles scored 4 touchdowns, no field goals, which let them win this game. And to make things even a little bit more impressive, Jalen Hurts is clearly injured at this time. He was injured going into the game with his knee injury. He just can't really run the ball, it seems. Then the knee gets hit, and it looks super awkward. I was super nervous. He comes right back after half and has an amazing third quarter. And finally, it seems like Jalen is getting control over these turnovers because the Dallas defense, which is supposedly great at causing turnovers, weren't able to cause a single one on Jalen Hurts or the Eagles. Okay, so now to the fourth quarter where the Eagles defense shined and the Cowboys fell apart. Even though everyone's saying the Cowboys offense was super impressive here, I'm going to show you why it's not true. So the first drive, Cowboys are down 17-28. They go all the way down the field. They get the ball at the Eagles 7, 1st and 7. They get several opportunities to score, and they don't make it happen. They even get 4th and goal at the Philly 1. If this was the Eagles offense, it would be a guaranteed touchdown. They'd do the brotherly shove. Everyone knows what would happen. They'd see it coming. It would be a touchdown. That's that. However, for the Cowboys, they can't do it. They're too scared to do it. I don't know, but they just don't. So instead, they pass the ball to a tight end who looks like he's in the end zone at first, but turns out he's actually short, which led them to turn the ball over on downs. There were several mistakes in this play, such as maybe Dak Prescott for throwing it to someone who's not in the end zone, the tight end for not being in the end zone, and then the wide receiver for not helping clear space. But overall, the Eagles defense stepped up in the red zone when it matters and kept them without any points. So the Eagles have the ball next. They don't really do anything. I don't blame them too much because they're down at the 1, but still, you'd like to see Jalen do something, and he doesn't. So they punt it back to the Cowboys. Cowboys go right down the field once again, and they actually score this time. So it's 23-28. Of course, you have to go for 2. Dak Prescott runs around, kind of looks like he goes in. They call it in for the 2-point conversion, but he stepped out, and he didn't have to step out. Like, there was clearly room to get into the end zone, and he just didn't do it. It was a mental error or something like that. Then the Eagles get the ball back. There's about 6 minutes left. The Eagles are up by 5, and there's some pretty weird play calling by Brian Johnson on offense, and they end up throwing it deep to A.J. Brown on 3rd and 3 when everybody wanted them to run the ball or do something short so they could gain a few yards and do a quarterback sneak. But they didn't for some reason. The Eagles do have a worrying amount of weird play calls in the 4th quarter, but it hasn't come back to bite them yet, other than the Jets game. So anyways, Cowboys get the ball once again. They drive down the field. Cowboy fans and some other people were thinking, oh, here the Cowboys are just going to score. Their offense has been doing great. Well, Dak Prescott gets sacked twice by Brandon Graham, and the drive is essentially over. So even though they went all the way to the Philadelphia 29-yard line, it didn't end up in points. So I don't get why we're giving them so much credit, once again, for going down the field and turning the ball over. And in the final drive of the game, Dak Prescott gets the ball at the 14 with 46 seconds. Everyone's acting like this is an impossible task to go down the field and score, but elite quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes or like Tom Brady back in the day, I feel like they've done this all the time. I know he didn't have timeouts, but that's plenty of time to get a decent shot. I don't like how everyone's acting like this was a miracle drive down the field. But anyways, it's really just penalty laden. So they had a 36-yard penalty on Bradbury, which he got hurt on. Then there was a roughing the passer call, which 15 more yards, and Slay gets hurt. So this means the Cowboys offense is playing the Eagles defense without their 2 starting corners, without one of their starting linebackers, Nakobe Dean, and without not their 1st, 2nd, or 3rd string slot corner. It's a 4th string slot corner who is actually a safety who they just moved over into corner. So against this defense, Dak gets the ball all the way to the 5-yard line and then can't capitalize. And this is with CeeDee Lamb, who's played great, Pollard, who people thought of as a good wide receiver, Cooks, who people thought of as a good wide receiver, plenty of weapons, decent tight ends, and you can't score a touchdown against a depleted Eagles secondary. So while yes, the Cowboys offense did get a lot of yards, they had 4 drives in which they looked great, but they only actually scored 6 points. So, 1.5 points per drive is just, how am I supposed to be impressed by that? I'm just not. The Eagles are better. They've had all these injuries. The Eagles defensive line crushed the Cowboys offensive line, and the Eagles were just kind of in control. Yes, they let up on the gas a bit in the 4th quarter on the offensive side, and that is something to address. But saying that the Cowboys are the better team is far too far. But anyways, thanks for sticking around. If you like the video, leave a like, subscribe for more content, and leave a comment down below on your thoughts.